We are back, continuing our conversation, fascinating conversation with Arianna Huffington, who's here at California State University, Long Beach, as our speaker for the 4th annual Distinguished Speaker Series program. And we want to focus now on the subject of her presentation on campus, politics and the new media. This revolution really has had profound impact on politics, and spell it out as you see it.
Well, first of all, we see something that we could not have imagined before, which is politicians being able to go directly to the people through social media. Sarah Palin actually has been a master at this. She doesn't need to do interviews. She can just update her status on her Facebook profile. She can Twitter. She now also, on top of it, has a reality show happening out in Alaska, you know, Sarah's Alaska. So the social media used by politicians, again, can be used for good or for bad. She can post something about death panels in the healthcare legislation, which is completely untrue.
I get Dear Arthur emails from the President of the United States. Now, I know he's not writing to me personally, but still, that connection. And of course, the Obama administration used the media so effectively in their campaign, did they not?
Oh, yes,
they really wrote the book on it.
Yeah, they wrote the book, and they also were able to do what the Howard Dean campaign was not able to do, which is to translate the viral into the actual, you know, to take what was happening, the activity that was happening online, and actually use it to raise real money.
Real money and real people knocking on
real people knocking on doors. And I remember when I was in Chicago visiting the Obama campaign, and I had asked to meet with Chris Hughes, who had come from Facebook to run their digital campaign. And I was meeting him at a hotel, and I was waiting, I thought, and waiting, and 20 minutes passed, and it suddenly dawned on me that the kid sitting at that table was that I thought was waiting for his parents. Was Chris Hughes. And that's the thing. They brought in people who really knew what they were doing.
I wrote them an email after they won suggesting, I mean, dumb me that they need this, that they should continue that personal touch as part of the administration, which of course they have. And I mean, getting personal letters from the President of the United States, personal emails, you know, it's kind of touching.
But they haven't really continued in the way it worked during the campaign. You know, they put it all under the auspices of the DNC. And so it became much more rote and bureaucratic, and, you know, it has been ramped up now that the president is campaigning for his fellow Democrats.
They ran a much better campaign than many feel the first 2 years of the administration has been.
Yes, I write in Third World America that they went from the audacity of hope and what David Plouffe, his campaign manager, called the audacity to win, to the timidity of governing.
Wow.
Because, you know, it's ironic that his opponents are basically claiming that he has been very radical, but he has not. He has been in the end, very cautious in terms of tackling the biggest crisis we're facing, which is joblessness.
He has incredible training as a lawyer from Harvard and all, but he has a tendency to try and bring everyone together, which often means splitting the differences rather than, and whatever you think of Ronald Reagan, there were certain core principles that he stood for, and you could go with them or not go with them, but you knew where he was. A lot of people have trouble identifying just what are the core principles of the president.
Well, you're absolutely right. I think it's great to bring everybody together, but you can't bring everybody together if you're not clear about what direction you're going towards. And, you know, we saw that during every major struggle in this country, whether it was the Emancipation Proclamation or the 19th Amendment or the Civil Rights struggle, you know, you could not come together until people were willing to accept certain core principles.
Yes, and he's faced with a moment of truth on this gays in the military, because he has to decide whether or not to appeal it. As an administration, the federal judge said it's unconstitutional, and if he doesn't appeal it, then it stays. But if he appeals it because he wants to wait for Congress to do it, it gets muddied.
Well, it does get muddy, and very often it gets particularly muddy when the White House is hyper concerned about how what they do is going to be used by the opposition. We're seeing that in Don't Ask, Don't Tell. We're seeing that in our policy in Afghanistan. You know,
No Democrat wants to be soft on national security.
exactly, but it's really tragic to be making war and peace decisions based on how the opposition is
Do you
going
think
to approach
the
them.
administration is?
You know, you have Bob Woodward in his new book who said the president is psychologically, that was his term, out of Afghanistan. What does that mean? You know, how can you be psychologically out of a war that's ongoing where young men and women are being killed and where we are spending $2.8 billion a week? And that to me is stunning at a time when our local governments are cutting schools and services and when we need to do nation building here at home.
Yeah. Well, we could have rebuilt every school in America for one year's cost of the war.
Yes, and we could have rebuilt a lot of schools for what we spent bailing out Wall Street.
Give us your take on the gubernatorial and senatorial races here in California.
Well, the gubernatorial race seems to be less of a toss-up than it was a few weeks ago. It seems that Jerry Brown is now ahead by 8 points. The Senate race is more of a toss-up. And I think a lot will depend on turnout, who comes out to vote, and also on how much of the wave that has been going Republicans' way continues to go Republicans' way.
You know, Sacramento is totally dysfunctional, and everyone knows that gerrymandered districts and the whole litany, and the Democrats really deserve to be thrown out wholesale for this mess. Our credit rating is down at the bottom and everything, but Democrats are going to win. It's a Democratic state, and maybe they made the mess, maybe they can fix it. There's a new commercial out for Jerry Brown called Twins that is absolutely devastating, and it's making the internet circuit. You don't have to spend a lot of money to get your message out. You don't have to spend $120 million.
No, you just need a lot of creativity.
Yeah.
And then something can go viral, and it's perfect.